Good afternoon, everyone, and sincerely appreciate you taking the time. Obviously, we're wanting to deal with the news and the heartbreak of Mark deciding to leave the Thorns at the end of 2021 and doing it in a way that's fair to Mark and fair to the Thorns players and fans and organization as a whole. It's an opportunity for you to ask us questions on why and how did this happen, if they're relevant, and then for us to move on. I would love for this to be a one and done, and we can revisit it later in the year and look at phase two about what will happen with this role and what direction we will go in. But I think it's good to clear the air, good to talk about it, to go through the various reasons and logic behind it. So with that said, if we could take up a little bit of time and then change the focus completely to OL Reign this weekend, I think that's great and would be healthy for everyone. So appreciate your time, and I'll pass it over to you to ask questions.
Mark, would you like to make any comments as well? Mark, there you go.
Repeat what Gavin said. The only addition from that is just I'm being extremely grateful for, first of all, the club support, players, staff, and the initial reaction from today has just been incredibly positive and supportive. But at the same time, we're all in the same place that the most important thing is today, tomorrow, and this game on Sunday, and then the next game. And 2021 is critical. This is a fun group. This is a group that's just beginning a new era and is ready to take on the world over the next 3 to 5 years. And the fact that I get one more year to be able to be a part of that and this club and this fan base and this family is an absolute privilege. And yeah, it was good to talk it through. And then what we all need to do is then get focused and stay focused on what we're all here to do, which is push this team to heights that it hasn't been to before. And we believe that can happen.
All right, we'll start off with questions. We'll go to Nick Krupke to start off.
Mark, congratulations. You know, and a lot of times professional athletes could just say, well, I don't need to listen to this coach. He's going to be gone in a while. I know that you have a connection with the squad that's not going to be the case. So what was just the moment of telling the team what was next for you and how you guys tackle this year, where obviously there's goals and things to strive for that are much larger? Yeah,
I wish I could say it was easy. Unfortunately, it didn't go to plan, and we had to react rather than be able to do the process that we'd like to, because there was a couple of reports last week, and having a conversation with the team as a whole, with Merritt, with Gavin, clarifying everything that was happening and sharing with the team that there was an intention of this going through from me, and then also collaboration from Gavin, the club, and the KMVB. But you know, what we thought would be a month or two now was going to speed up to the next week or two because of the reports. I think the team went from being confused initially to really supportive and really understanding. And yeah, I don't know if there's been a group of players or staff that I've worked with ever that I've cared about the way I care about this group. And right now, all the support and all the care is flying straight back at me, and just makes me want to work harder and focus more to be able to push this team and support this team every way I can.
All right, next we'll go to Matt Pence.
Hey, Mark, my question was just kind of about what the biggest appeal of the Netherlands job was for you. And it's a team that's had a lot of success lately, both at the Euro and at the World Cup levels. What are kind of the pros and cons of coming into a team that's had a decent amount of success recently?
Yeah, Thorns are the pinnacle of club football, and club football isn't just about, we got a great team and on the field, but club football is about the whole package. And this is the pinnacle. And of course, the fans, the best in the world, are the icing on the cake of this full package. And there's no other place that I would want to be and didn't think I would be for a very long time, as long as I kept working hard and brought Gavin a coffee every now and then and kept him happy. I hoped I could be here for a while. This opportunity's come along. You've got a team that's very experienced, that tasted success, but also still with experience, still young, and have a lot of young players coming through and want to push forward. And it's also a job and a situation where there is immense pressure after the success they've had. And I think there's probably a lot of people who didn't fancy it for those reasons. And I came to Portland, which was a huge stretch and a huge step up with a huge amount of pressure. And I thrived with that opportunity. And I had a front office and a staff and support around me that only helped me every step of the way to be able to find myself and help the team. No different here on this step. I love to stretch, love to push, and that's been important. But in addition to that, the most important factor for me is to be able to get my family closer to England, because it's been tough, it's been hard, and the support of Gavin and everyone around me during the last 12 months, specifically last 3 to 6 months where it's been the hardest, has been invaluable, and I'll be forever grateful.
All right, next we'll go to Paul Danzer.
Hey, Gavin, when Mark came to you, what type of discussion did you have? Did you try to talk him into staying? What was that dynamic like when this opportunity came up for a coach you obviously have a lot of affection for?
Paul, I appreciate the question. Surprised, to be honest. And Mark and I have a very open and direct relationship where we have brutal conversations about football and about the direction of the club, and sharing a lot of ideas. I think this was more Mark coming to me and saying, Gavin, should the opportunity arise within the next 6 months where I can go back to Europe and get closer to my family, could you at least listen? And the response was, I prefer not to. Let's look at solutions. How can we create an environment for your family in the US that allows you to stay with the Thorns? And we explored many different options, and Paul, we couldn't solve it. And that's relative to the world that we're in today with COVID and travel and just the restrictions. And even though those restrictions are lifting slowly, it doesn't undo the year plus that we've had to manage this. And with Mark having a young daughter that has lived in isolation in many ways for a period of time, that puts more stress on Mark and his incredible wife. And the right thing for the family was to allow this to happen, even though I do not believe it's in the best interests of the Thorns right now. I think the Thorns will be fine. However, we had a plan, we had a vision for the future, and you want to fulfill that. And that vision will change, and there'll be somebody new at the helm eventually, and we'll have to go through a learning process. And I'm confident that every top coach in club football will want this job. It's just we had built something special, and now in 2021 we get to see that. And the expectations for this year are very high, but I'll go back to saying, and the promise that I made to Mark, that should this arise and should it make sense for everybody, we will allow it to happen.
All right, next we'll go to Caitlin Best.
Hey, Mark, congrats on the new job. I'm just wondering, you talked about obviously getting closer to your family in England, and I'm just wondering how much the pandemic played into that decision.
Yeah, a huge amount. I think I've talked about it, and Gavin's touched on it a lot. I think to be specific for a split second, without having, we've lived out here for 10 years, and what's challenge of that is being away from family. However, a lot of family get to visit us throughout the year, and we get to play tour guides 6, 7, 8 times throughout the calendar, throughout the 12 months. And that obviously got taken away from us, just like everyone has had massive blows, but also traveling back and forth and bubble life is tough. And it got to the point in January, February that I felt like I needed to look forward and be more proactive. There was a couple of ways of looking at this, and Gavin, on the first conversation we had, was superb at trying to find solutions to have family come or be able to get back and see family. And yeah, mainly my wife and daughter have lived a different life than I have. I've seen people and around people every day, and I feel normal for the last 9-10 months. They live a different life at the moment, and while it's all improving, it's still tough. And we made a commitment to be able to start opening our mind and to the idea of being able to get back. So right now, I'm obviously here for the rest of the year, and it turns to embracing and enjoying, kind of switch the light at the end of the tunnel for my family is there, and we just get to embrace and enjoy every moment now, knowing that we're not going to have this again, and that's sad as well. Yeah, that's the insight into it, and I'm glad that I've got people like Gavin and Merritt on our side that wanted to look out for us.
All right, we'll take a couple more questions for Gavin and Mark on this topic. Let's go to Grant Little.
Hi, Mark. Congratulations. I have two questions, if that's all right. First, I know you've talked about being closer to your family as one of the primary factors, but also as on the sporting side of things, I was wondering if you could talk about the importance to you of the Dutch footballing philosophy and their identity in this decision. And also, I was wondering if you could talk a little bit about having the opportunity at the Thorns to coach one of the greatest international goal scorers of all time in Sink, and now having the opportunity to coach Miedema, who could be in that conversation at the end of her career.
The idea of being a fan of Dutch football, number one, and the idea of being able to learn more about it and the influences that had on I think a load of people in coaching, including myself. That opportunity is great, and looking forward to it. And I hope that I'll be able to complement and add and bring stuff. I think there's a lot of talented Dutch players, and also talented young ones coming through. But I also know that I'm very privileged that I get to work with not just Sink, the best goal scorer in international football right now, and she's proving it in the NWSL week in, week out as well. But there's a lot of talent, and while I get to enjoy that, there's going to be young players that are here right now that are probably we're going to see reap the rewards of their work and the development going on in the next 2 to 3 years. My role will change. I get to become a fan of those young players. So I've been honored with working with great players and great people. And at this club, there is always going to be talent because of who this club is. And every coach, every player wants to be here because of the way it's run, the way that people are treated, and the best fan base in the world. So I want to stay focused on these players and enjoy every moment I've got. And then at some point we've got to turn the page and then start thinking elsewhere.
All right, if anyone has questions for Gavin, we only have him for a few more minutes, so let's take a couple questions for Gavin. If you have a question for him, please keep your hand raised and I'm happy to call on you. All right, we'll go to Tim Graney.
Gavin, can you talk about the recent announcement about the ICC tournament this summer and what it means to the club and what you see in terms of that future club development on the international side, particularly since we don't have the FIFA Club World Cup yet?
Yeah, I think it's a great opportunity for the club, for the fans, for the players to showcase what we are and who we are. For many years, I've stated that I believe that the Thorns are the best women's professional team in the world, and that's across all sports, and that's based on proven metrics relative to attendance, social media presence, and now it gives us the opportunity on the field to showcase ourselves and hopefully get a few results and prove that we are one of the better teams in the world with professional women's sports. And it's a great opportunity. We'll be playing against great opponents, and it's also an opportunity for Mark now as well to try and navigate a few different elements. And we haven't had exhibitions as part of the Thorns experience in the past. We've had it on the timber side. This will also start to open this world to us a little bit more and say, how much more can we do in this area? It's an international tournament that is recognized, that has quality teams, and will showcase the team and the individual players as well as the organization. So for me, it is exciting. For many years, Mark and I have had this conversation, and we've been looking at the calendar and how to embrace a tournament like this. And it finally got to the stage where, and Mark, forgive me, but I said, I don't care anymore about what you say. We will play these games and we have to manage it. Now, Mark was always worried about the week to week and the points with the NWSL. It fits in this year where it will not jeopardize our league games. So it's a perfect, Mark gets what he wants and we get what we want. So a perfect marriage in that regard, but it is exciting and we're looking forward to it.
All right, we're going to take a couple more questions with Gavin here, and then he'll he'll take off, and Mark will then answer questions about OL Reign. So we'll take 2 more, and we'll go to Dan Maletta.
Hi, Gavin. I did jump on just a couple minutes late, so if I'm repeating, just yell at me and I'll refer back. But with the trend with Mark leaving but staying for the rest of the season, and the Netherlands coach leaving after the Olympics, do you intend to wait until after the Thorns season to make your announcement for a new coach, or is it possible we could get a similar scenario where your next coach before the end of this season?
Dan, good question. It's a fluid situation. I think right now the focus is week to week, day to day with Mark. There will be a transition, and that transition will happen after Mark has left the club. The interview process and the recruitment process and going through that will start within the next couple of weeks, where we will start to get together a short list of the ideal candidates for this club. And there'll be many stakeholders that are involved in making the decision. Mark is also somebody that we have an incredible relationship with, and we'll lean on him in some small way as well as the players and the staff that we have. So the process will start in the coming weeks. I would say by October, November, we will have our final candidates, probably a very short list of 3 to 4, and with the expected hire happening in December and January. But we're in a great situation. The staff that we have, I won't mention them by name, but we have an extremely qualified group of staff and support staff for Mark that will also be taking on a greater role this year. We will be allowing Mark to go and view Holland and work with Holland during the international / FIFA breaks. And that will give his support staff and the assistant coaches a chance to work with the players a little bit more on a day-to-day basis. Mark will not be missing any games, but again, throughout this process, the timeline that I've presented is a cautious one, but it's one that we can adhere to.
All right, we'll take one final question on this topic. We'll go to Melina.
Hi, Gavin. So my question is, what would you say Mark has brought to the Thorns organization that didn't have before? And going along with Dan's question, do you have already some names in mind to be the next head coach? Thank you.
Melina, great question. I would say, what has Mark brought? What has he added to? And in this club, we continually evaluate our culture, and we continue to modify it and look to evolve. I think what Mark has brought is to this role and to this club is a level of sincerity, a level of knowledge that is growing through his time here. His player management and the amount that he cares on an individual basis is extremely well regarded, and has been very, very important in getting the players that we currently have in this club to be successful and also feel valued. He embraces the Thorns brand. He embraces the ambition of the club and lives it on a day-to-day basis. And, you know, to say that, and this will be the last time I say it, he will be missed. It will be a learning curve for me to grow and learn with somebody else, because as you work with somebody for a period of time, we all have our strengths and weaknesses, and I think we complement one another in many, many ways. And I think what Mark has brought to this club is going to be tough to replace, but then it's a new chapter for the club. And I would say it's a unique environment for a young coach to flourish the way that he has. And also the environment that he's going into, to have a young coach a national team, it's not that common. So I think when we reflect on and looking at the person that will eventually replace Mark, we'll be looking at a lot of the same characteristics with integrity and personality being two of the main ones. And then obviously knowledge and ability to communicate honestly with players and hold them accountable on a day-to-day basis and drive the standard, being at the forefront of the expectations for the person. And Mark has created that. So yeah, he will be missed. And from now on through to the end of the year, he will be working 18, 19-hour days as a form of punishment. And we look forward to grinding him for the rest of the year and being successful.